Welcome to a Tech Moment on Cannabis Tech. I'm your host, Christina Etter. In this podcast, we take just a few minutes to discuss some of the exciting new science and technology innovations that are happening in the cannabis and hemp industries. While the cannabis and hemp industries are being projected to boom in these coming years with all of these new jobs, there's a significant lack of expertise in the industry. There's only about 9% of the colleges in the United States right now that actually hold any type of cannabis curriculum. And cannabis cultivation expertise has, similar to the prohibition days of moonshiners and whatnot, a lot of that's just kind of been passed down through apprenticeships and in kind of covert ops. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to introduce Max Simon, the CEO and founder of Green Flower Academy and Green Flower Media. This is an online training center that is geared towards helping bridge that gap of education in the cannabis industry. Welcome to the show, Max.
Really great to be here with you.
So Max, as a former bud tender myself, I've always felt like there needs to be more training in this industry. From one dispensary to the next, you might get told one specific thing about something, and then in the next dispensary, you're going to get told something completely different. Consistency really hasn't been there in the past. Clearly, there's a dire need to help with some of this education, and through more cannabis education and through understanding this plant, I think that's where maybe some of those stigmas start to be shed and we start to kind of mainstream marijuana a little bit more. So can you tell us about Green Flower Academy and how that's designed to help?
Yeah, it solves that exact need. We found that, first off, people didn't know who to trust. And so we have spent 5 years vetting some of the world's top experts to really understand who has the credibility and authority to educate people. And then we use our very deeply detailed instructional design team to create programs and trainings that really fill core needs and specialty knowledge within the cannabis industry. And then we use e-learning technology to make sure that these programs are accessible in an affordable and global way to people around the world.
Absolutely. And I think that's really important because, like I stated in my introduction, there really hasn't been any type of formal education in the cannabis industry to provide that consistent message. But now you go beyond just the bud tender training though, correct? There's several different types of programs that Green Flower Academy offers. Can you tell us about some of those?
Yeah, cannabis is a really complex subject. You know, everybody always kind of snickers when they hear cannabis education and think, what are you teaching people to smoke pot? And the truth is that cannabis is really complex, and there's these different sectors which all require a really deep level of specialized knowledge to succeed. And so we have a program called the Cannabis Fundamentals Program, which is just a starter course, talks about cannabinoids and terpenes and product types and history. And even that's a 15-hour certificate program. But then it really starts to go into those specialized sectors. So there's a cultivation certificate where you really understand how to cultivate quality cannabis from seed to sale at a commercial level. We have a patient care certificate where you are understanding how to interact with different patients of different experience levels and different ages and for different reasons. And it walks you through things like dosing and titration and contraindications and working with new patients and dealing with seniors and all those kinds of things, which are quite nuanced and important. And then we have a Sell Smart certificate in partnership with Cannabis Trainers, which is about retail compliant sales. And then we also have certificates coming up that are things like medical applications of cannabis, specifically for doctors and healthcare providers, as well as cannabis law and compliance certificates, which are for both lawyers and compliance managers and businesses that need to understand how to operate in compliance. And so we've really continue to kind of cover the full spectrum of cannabis needs, and more importantly, those cannabis sectors, because as you've said, there really hasn't been that form of standardized quality education to date, and so we're trying to fill that need on a global scale.
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that I get a lot being in the media in this industry is I get questions from a lot of our audience that may be in a nursing position, or maybe they're working for the petroleum industry and they're wanting to make that transition into the cannabis industry, but they're just really not sure where to even begin to breach that gap and to get that kind of information. I'm assuming these kinds of classes would be great for that kind of audience, correct?
Yeah, ultimately that's why we designed this Cannabis Fundamentals program, because first and foremost, you need to just have a fundamental understanding of cannabis. And then from there, it starts to go into those specialized sectors. But, I just say it over and over again. I beat this drum that cannabis is way more complex than people think. And that it's very important, if you want to play any role, to take the time to get educated, because first, your mind will be blown. But secondly, it's actually what's required for you to be able to play some kind of significant part in the industry today.
That's such a great point. Now, I do want to talk about one program that you're running, and that is the Green Flower Academy Scholarship Program. I found this so interesting. I got the email a couple of weeks ago, and I love the fact that you're using cannabis education to give back to the industry. So can you talk about what you're doing with that program?
Yeah, so we always are asking ourselves the question, how do we contribute more to this industry? Because in some ways, it's a personal prerogative of ours to lift the standards of excellence and the levels of contribution that happen here, because that's really what good education does. And yet, so much of the time we hear people that really want to be involved in this industry but have run on hard times, or have had really challenging setbacks, or maybe they're on disability, or maybe they're just their resources are being tied up with all the other millions of things that are required to try to participate in the industry, but they're really good people. And so we decided to run the scholarship program, where we are giving away $25,000 in Green Flower scholarships so that people can get the education that they need. But the coolest part about it for us is that each person will get a $1,000 scholarship, and that is being selected by each individual member that works here at Green Flower. And so we're getting all the submissions into one place, and then everybody in the team is going to go through these submissions, and each person will get to pick one person that their story, their information, their desires kind of resonate with them to give their scholarship to. And so it's just a kind of a cool, fun way to make the team here more involved and engaged in giving back.
That is absolutely heartwarming. I love to hear that. Just from my own experience in the cannabis industry, it's really nice to see the companies, reaching out and giving other people that opportunity. I think that's absolutely fabulous. And I can tell you from experience, from the years that I've been in the industry, Green Flower Media and Green Flower, the message that Green Flower's had has always been very well respected. And we definitely appreciate all the work that you've put into this company over these last several years, and it's great to see the formation of this curriculum, because like I said, I think this is absolutely critical moving forward in our industry to make sure that that quality, consistent education is there. My last question for you, Max, then is going to be, where does Green Flower go from here? What is on the horizon, and do you see other classes in the future? What's going to happen?
So I'm very grateful that we just closed our Series A round of financing, and all that is going to the development of content and partnerships. So we have an enormity of new programs coming. We have a CBD certificate and a cannabis sales certificate and a cannabis extraction certificate, and all sorts of new trainings and new specialized areas that are going to be coming out this year and into next year. We also are forming very deep and exciting strategic partnerships with colleges and universities around North America to offer cannabis programs at the higher education level. And then our new kind of newly revamped membership program will have a whole suite array of new programming covering the health side of the cannabis industry, the business side of the cannabis industry, the growing and DIY side of the industry, as well as the culture side of the industry. So there's we have so many exciting plans in motion right now for this next chapter that I think is going to provide just a ton of value to the space.
That is absolutely exciting. I can't wait to see what comes from Green Flower Academy in the future. Max, it's been an absolute honor to have a few minutes of your time today and to have you go over Green Flower Academy with us. Last thing I'm going to ask you to do is just tell everybody where they can go to find more information about Green Flower Academy and how to sign up for the classes.
Yeah, it's green-flower.com.
Fabulous. Thanks for your time today.
Really appreciate being here with you.